After the day Maud watched her mother being turned away at the gate, the silence in the mansion became a heavy, suffocating thing. She realized she wasn't just Jojo's wife. She was a prisoner in a house of gold. The charm he'd used at the bus stop that first rainy day had completely vanished, replaced by a cold, sharp control. The smell of Jojo's expensive cologne used to make Maud's heart skip a beat with excitement. Now, it just made her stomach turn. She sat at the dinner table, watching him swirl a glass of wine. He looked exactly like the man she had fallen for 3 years ago. The one who bought her flowers for no reason and promised her the world. Back then, it felt like a fairy tale, but she finally understood that fairy tales have monsters. "You are not eating," Jojo said. His voice was quiet, but it had that serrated edge that always meant trouble. "I'm just not hungry, Jojo," Maud whispered, keeping her eyes fixed on her plates. He dropped his fork onto the porcelain. "I worked all day to provide this life for you. I asked the cook to make your favorite. You are being ungrateful. Again." Maud felt that familiar cold shiver. This was a cycle. It hadn't happened overnight. It had been a slow erasing of who she was. First, he told her best friend was a bad influence. Then, he started those fights whenever she mentioned her mom. Eventually, it was just easier to stay home and stay quiet than to deal with his anger. One night, she had stayed on the phone with her brother 5 minutes too long. Jojo didn't scream. He simply walked over, took the phone from her hand, and smashed it against the wall. When she tried to grab the pieces, he shoved her so hard she hit the kitchen counter. The next day, he bought her a gold watch as an apology. She wore it and told herself he just had a high-stress job. She told herself he loved her too much to let her go. But while Maud was becoming a ghost, quiet, thin and terrified, Jojo was changing. He stopped coming home for dinner. He stopped looking at her. He stopped noticing her existence entirely. One afternoon, while doing the laundry, a small slip of paper fell out of Jojo's pocket. It wasn't a grocery receipt. It was a bill for a luxury hotel and a diamond necklace she had never seen. And then she saw the name on the credit card slip, Elena. Maud sat on the floor of the laundry room and cried until her throat was raw. She had given up her friends, her family, and her soul for a man who was now giving her a replacement in the world. She looked at her reflection in the glass of the washing machine door. She didn't recognize the hollow woman looking back. In that moment, something inside her finally snapped. The sadness didn't leave, but it got quiet. And in that cold silence, she found a plan. Maud stopped crying. She started acting like the perfect wife again. She cooked his favorite meals. She smiled when he came home late, smelling like another woman's perfume. "You look tired, babe," she'd tell him, rubbing his shoulders. "You should focus on your big work event and let me handle the house paperwork." Jojo was so arrogant, he actually believed she was too broken to leave. He gave her his passwords. He let her handle the filing cabinets. He didn't realize that while he was out with Elena, Maud was taking pictures of every secret bank account and every shady business deal he had hidden for years. The night of Jojo's big company party arrived. He was standing in front of all his business partners and his rich friends, looking proud. Elena was standing in the crowd, wearing the necklace that was supposed to be Maud's. Jojo stood up to give a speech. "I want to thank everyone who supported my success," he bragged. But the big screen behind him didn't show his Man of the Year photos. Instead, a video started playing. It was a grainy footage from a security camera Maud had hidden in their living room. The whole room watched in total silence as they saw Jojo scream at Maud and violently shove her to the ground. Then the screen changed to show his secret bank statements, the one that proved he had been stealing money from his own partners. Jojo froze. He turned around, his face turning white. He looked for Maud in the crowd, expecting to see her crying. Instead, he saw her standing by the exit. She wasn't wearing the old clothes he made her wear. She was in a bright red dress, her head held high. She didn't say a word. She just looked him in the eye, gave him a small cold smile, and walked out into the night. Outside, the blue and red lights of the police cars were already pulling into the driveway. Jojo had spent years trying to keep Maud in the dark. He just didn't realize that when she finally stepped into the light, she'd take everything he owned with her. Jojo's fall was fast and loud. Between the video of his abuse and the evidence of his crimes, his perfect life vanished in weeks. He was sentenced to several years in prison, trading his designer suits for a thin orange jumpsuit. He went from a penthouse to a narrow cell, left with nothing but the silence of a man who lost everything by trying to control it all. As for Maud, she didn't look back. She packed her bags, changed her number, and moved to a quiet town where nobody knew her name or her past. She opened a small art studio and spent her days painting in the sunlight. For the first time in years, she breathed easily, knowing the only person who owned her life was herself.